Everybody is talking about it. Messiah must be around the corner. And then Allah raised a man. Oh, he was a very strange man. You can't find such a man in Singapore anymore. He used to wear clothing of animal skin. And he used to eat wild berries and honey and so on. And when he spoke from the heart. It wasn't just words. And the truth came out of him. Because in his heart there was light. Singapore, are you listening? In his heart there was light. You can't buy that light in the stock market. And this man began to proclaim the truth. And this man began to denounce them for their betrayal of the religion of Abraham, and called them back to the right path. But it was like the voice of one crying in the wilderness. The rabbis wouldn't listen to him. And then this man began to proclaim, the Messiah is coming. Or when he spoke those words, it was like electricity in the air. It spread like wildfire. The Messiah is coming. And then one day, when the Messiah, who is now a grown-up man, came back to the Holy Land, he came directly in front of that man. And then when that man saw him, he said, here he is. This is the man you've been waiting for. This is the Messiah. The son of Mary. Who was that man? John the Baptist. Yahya alayhi salam. I told you. Double it. Can't find people like that anymore. But when they speak from the heart. And who have light in their hearts. And when they call the people to come back to the truth and to the path of righteousness, it's like the voice of one crying in the wilderness. But when he said, this is the man you've been waiting for, this is the Messiah, then Jesus, the son of Mary, responded and he says, yes, I am the Messiah. And the Quran declares, فَآمَنَتْ طَائِفَةٌ مِّن بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلِ. Part of the Israelite people accepted him as the Messiah. And they believed in him as the Messiah. Yes, they did. These are the poor. These are the ones who are humble and lowly in the spirit. These are the innocent at heart. وَكَفَرَتْ طَائِفَةٌ. But another part of Banu Israel rejected him. This is the elite. This is the administration. This is the establishment. This is the rabbis. They rejected him. Why did they reject him? Number one, وَنَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنْ هَذَا. He's a bastard. A bastard cannot be the Messiah. Why? His mother was the most famous girl in all the land. The most pious, the most virtuous, the most learned girl in all the land. Mary, who had lived in the temple itself, in the masjid, under the guardianship of the chief rabbi, Zachariah himself, from age 2 until she reached the age of puberty. She now has the monthly cycle, so she can no longer live in the masjid. When that child was in that masjid, I tell you, those rabbis must have had a lot of fun. They must have enjoyed having her in the masjid, particularly Zachariah. In those days, the masjid was built differently from today. The mihrab was not a little niche in the wall in the direction of the Kaaba. The mihrab was a separate room called the Holy of Holies. And only the chief rabbi could enter that room. And in that room were the sacred relics, like for example the Burak. So Mary was allowed into that room because Zakaria alayhi salam had guardianship over her. One day he entered into the mihrab and he found her with food. Mary, where did you get that food? So the little girl responded, I asked for it. He sent it to me. The old man must have taken off his hat and scratched his head. She asked. He sent it. I want a son. I should also ask. Huh? And then he went into the mihrab himself when he was all alone, and he asked. And then the angel appeared to him and said, your prayer has been answered. You will have a son, and his name is going to be John. Now, the whole world knew about this. And so Mary is a very famous girl. One day she disappears. She had left the temple and she's now living with her parents. One day she disappears. And then after a few months she returns and she has a baby. And when they ask her, Mary, whose baby is this? She points to the baby. She knows. Oh yes, she knows. Because the angel told her this baby is going to be the Messiah. So she knows. But it is a part of the divine plan that she is not to speak. She points to the baby. They said, Mary, how can a baby speak? But the baby spoke. Quran declares the baby spoke. But when the baby spoke and proclaimed, I am the messenger of Allah, they said, هذا سحر مبين. Pure magic. Pure magic. And so they denounced her. They declared of her that she had committed that vile deed of fornication because she's not married. How can you have a baby? This happens when you see with only one eye. Had they been seeing with two eyes, not one, you know the second eye, the heart can see. Had they been seeing with two eyes, the external and the internal, they would have asked themselves the question. No one knew she was pregnant. No one knew. When the baby was born, well, why didn't she not get rid of it? Give it up for adoption. Put it in front of somebody's front door and run away. In New York, they put it in a garbage bin. Why did she not do that? She didn't do that. She came back with the baby. She didn't come in the night time. She came in the daytime. She didn't come through the back road. She came through the front road. She didn't come with the baby behind her. She came with the baby in front of her. This is not normal behavior. There is more to this than meets the eye. So let us hesitate. Let us pause before we rush to judgment. Let us try to get to the bottom of this. But they didn't do that because they were seeing with only one eye. Internally dead, internally blind. And so they rejected him. He cannot be the Messiah because he's a bastard. And then when the son of Mary began to denounce them, among other things, for their riba. I can't explain to you now, it would take too much time. It's not the lending of money on interest, it's another form of riba. The Americans have a beautiful expression for this form of riba. They call it a rip-off. Rip-off. In the exchange of money. He denounced them. He caught them in the temple itself, the masjid, engaged in riba. He cursed them. He turned over their tables. He threw them out of the masjid. He declared, you've taken the house of Allah and you've transformed it into a den of thieves. Today the modern world will say, he's a terrorist. That is their polluted thinking. They decided this man